Lions like their food grilled too, I suppose, right?
Yeah, they use, I think they use hickory wood to make it really tasty.
So funny.
That's right, they
Right.
do.
Hmm.
Now, this one species that we have that doesn't abide by the rules of nature is, of course, the only species that is actually capable of being creative. Or some other scientists recently said, oh, no, it was Sadhguru said that what makes humans different is that we have possibilities. The possibility of overriding nature and creating a new way of living. But with that, ironically, as soon as we override that natural cycle in our creations, we also shorten our lifespan. Now, I'm going to cut to the chase here. It's very, very simple. And that is mammals typically live 10 times their sexual maturity age. That means cats start reproducing after 12 months latest, right? They have their babies. They live 10 years, but actually most cats live 15 to 20 years. So look at all the other mammals. Deer in the wild, again, live to 20 years, and elephants actually don't live to 10 times their sexual maturity. Mind you, I don't know what their sexual maturity age is. I should not talk about elephants. I only know that they have the same gestation period as humans, 9 months. Does anybody know when they become sexually active? Now, of course, also most other mammals, including that time scale, they grow to full size within their first year or two, right? Even the big ones. And humans don't. Humans take females 12 years for the most part, males over 20 years to grow to their full physical size. But sexual maturity, nevertheless, reproductive ability starts between 12 and 15 years of age. So what does that mean? We should at least live 120 to 150 years. Is that so crazy? Actually, it is not.
Oh.
When you look into the Hunza population in the Himalayan mountains, there was a whole population that they say they stayed there from soldiers left there from the wars of Alexander the Great, the Greek guy. And they mixed with local people and became this whole kind of enclosed population of a few tens of thousands of people that live on, guess what? Raw foods. They dry their fruits and vegetables on large rock faces for the winter period of time, and they fast and just drink a juice, like a smoothie, we would call it today, of dried apricots ground into water every spring. So that was the old tradition. Of course, now they've been, what's the word, compromised and and no longer have that clean lifestyle. And they lived on average to 120. Many lived to 150, even 160. And that is documented. Journalists went there in the early 80s and actually, they hiked up there into the mountains and reported that. And those old articles were visible a few years ago when the internet first opened up, but have since been deplatformed, I suppose, because that's not the kind of knowledge that Western medicine would like us to believe, right? Okay, so this was just a very brief look at the biology of life on planet Earth. There's another fact, like gravity, like seasons, because they're of the rotation of the planet. There's another law on planet Earth that very few people take note of. And that is that all life lives only in a particular temperature range. And again, that's all life. That's not some. All life on the surface of planet Earth lives within a particular temperature range. And that is very easy to understand. At what point does your spinach go limp? Does your seed not reproduce? Does your child with a fever die because the brain gets cooked? It's very easy. For humans, it's 106 degrees. And for most other life, it's maximum 120 degrees. End of story. No exceptions. When the inner body of a plant, an animal, an insect reaches over 120 degrees, death occurs. So another law on planet Earth that belongs to the biology of planet Earth is actually that temperature range. So there's another reason why it makes sense that humans could learn from all the other creatures on the planet and the plant life, that in order to keep ourselves alive, we might benefit from ingesting live food. So to that also, of course, belongs every creature and every plant has a preferable range of nutrients and a preferable source for those nutrients, right? And sorry, I'm gonna drink a little super drink. I've been talking too much. All of us have a particular source of nutrients that we can best absorb. You can't feed a plant liquid acid, right? Or crude oil, and think that, why can't it draw the nutrients from that crude oil? You know, I have beautiful orchids in here. Let me pour some crude oil on them. It's a liquid. It is full of minerals and stuff. Doesn't work. Why? In my lectures, people will say, because it's not made for that, because I train them, of course, you know, it's not made for that. So every plant, every animal needs a particular source of nutrients to function well. And of course, all of life functions by having trillions of cells that are actually individual entities, if you will, but that are in the flow of life at all times. So some scientists now say there is no such thing as a cell, because as long as we're alive, it's always in mutation, it's always in movement, it's always decomposing, recomposing new things. But if we just look at it like this model, it still helps us understand. Every cell needs nutrients and constantly to produce new cells or fulfill its function, you know, add to the new liver cells, add to the lung cells, create new blood cells, white blood cells, red blood cells, bone cells, blah, 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 blah. All these different cells are constantly recreated so that our body is constantly new. If we don't provide the nutrients so that the cell reproduction can continue, what happens? Deterioration, because the existing cells cannot live long enough. So we have all this dead stuff in our body if we don't provide the nutrients to produce new cell tissue. And then wherever you have a weak spot already, or wherever there are the toxicities already, that's where we then decompose, not recompose enough, and we get whatever it is: liver failure, kidney failure, lung diseases, arthritis in the joints, migraines in the head, depending on where we already have weak spots or where there's additional toxicity impact. So to me, life is quite simple and logical, that providing the right nutrients for the right species at the right temperature should come natural. And then, of course, when you compare the human body, again, biology tells it all. If you compare the human body to other creatures on the planet, who are we most similar to? And we can observe what those creatures eat. Always are the monkeys. Well, we may not like that we are similar in biology. Of course, we are similar in biology to all life on planet Earth. Let me put that out there too. You know, we're just as similar to a pig as we are to a monkey, or almost.
Right.
Still people joining us. That's wonderful. So that biology, however, has some differences. Just as I said, you can't feed a plant crude oil. You can't feed a lion hay.
Mhm.
Try.
Mhm.
I don't think that'll work. And you can't feed a deer lion flesh. Come on, it's good nutrients, lots of iron and everything in there. You know, eat that lion, please, my cow or my deer, right? Can't do. Why? Why can't we do that? Because the physiology of the specific creature is not made. The lion cannot break down the hay. It does not have multiple stomachs like a cow. It does not have the enzymes to break down hay, plant matter. It requires that chunk of flesh, that raw flesh, that it tears out of the prey, swallows it in large lumps, has an esophagus that opens wide to allow whole lumps of flesh and bones and skin and hooves to go down the esophagus into the stomach. So then the carnivore has this big lump of flesh in the stomach. What then?
Acid.
It what?
Acid.
Acid. That's the answer. Exactly. It has
Mhm.
20 times the hydrochloric acid from herbivores, and
Mhm.
therefore it can actually dissolve that flesh. And as you know, hydrochloric acid is a very, very dangerous substance when used on skin, for example, on the outside. It literally burns the skin, it melts the skin. So it
Right.
dissolves skin tissue, bone tissue, hooves, everything. And we just don't have that. That's why we're not thrilled when there's this roadkill by the roadside. We don't stop. We run out of there and dig our teeth into that roadkill and suck out the blood and like, oh, that lump,
Mhm.
swallow it down, pull open our throat, etc. So again, to me, just plain observation of nature tells us what to do. And since we're almost similar to those great apes and those wonderful, incredibly strong, large creatures in the digestive tract, it makes sense to claim that, not just claim, to observe that we too indeed are herbivores. Yeah, but we evolved because with cooked food, we can develop bigger brains. And with cooked food, we can get more nutrients.
Humans were evolved, but humans outsmarted themselves.
Well, humans may be able to think and are smarter than cells, but we don't change the function of the cells
Well, that's
by
what I mean, Dave.
thinking differently.
That's
Thank
what I
you.
mean.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. So we can override, but we can't really change that biology in our stomach. Therefore, we have to cook and spice and chop into little pieces or make it soft enough so our teeth can chew materials to break it down before it goes into the stomach. We can't swallow a whole lump, etc. So, Lori Owens, there are some arguments for you and your husband to explain why it makes sense to consume plant-based foods. And of course, yes, we do get somewhat sufficient nutrients from cooked foods, but it is still ingesting a lot of dead matter that helps our cells less than a little bit of raw matter. And I brought you something just to water your mouths, just to get you excited. You know, this is a chocolate mousse that is raw and super delicious. So just for you to know, of course, there's also chocolate cake in the freezer, and there's pizza, and there's pesto, and lots of other things. So we don't have to, here's the difference. We don't have to stop being creative to start being healthy. And of course, I got to put a quick promo in here. I just launched my app, and there is a course on my app. I will put all the links in the chat in a minute. Rawlicious dishes. In other words, and you can get those, it's a whole slew of 12 different super delicious dishes, because it doesn't mean that we have to stop being creative when we realize that we can eat the most nutrient dense foods, and that would be raw, organic, delicious foods. So we can make the same compositions, just as I can make, you know, lots of different chocolates with the ingredients that might be different from cooked ingredients in a cooked chocolate, but I have the density of the nutrients in this chocolate, and I have the delicious flavor and the exuberance. And now we get to why celebrations matter. More people are joining us. That is so cool. Welcome everybody whom I haven't welcomed individually. Show your faces if you can. Hannah is here, Monique is here, Sandra is here, Arlen is here, Andrea is here, Christine, and everybody else I introduced already. But welcome. If you can, show your faces. And however, I'm in the middle of the presentation now, so I want to continue with getting to healthy through the holidays. So you can learn those recipes on my course on the app. It's only $47, so it's not like it used to be, you know, where we had to pay lots of money for a course in recipes. It's a video course. All right. What do we do then when it gets to celebrations and we want to get together with family and we want to really enjoy? And I maintain that celebrations, and I did a whole show about celebrations. Oh, and that's the other thing. You get more free content on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv, Rawsome Life Show. Again, I'm going to put all of them in the chat. Celebrations are also a uniquely human feature, as is creativity. And of course, with creativity comes music, language, actually the other way around, language, but maybe music came first, who knows? Maybe people were just singing sounds to each other before they developed language and articulate things in words, you know. And then we have dance and all the art forms. And all of humanity, wherever I have been, and I've been on 3 continents in 39 countries, there is creativity everywhere. It is a human feature, period. And creativity has been there in my book ever since there have been humans on planet Earth. Not like people running around living in caves with some baseball bat type of thing, trying to chase down a rabbit. Yeah, good luck with that one. But But yeah, other scientists talk about that now finally as well, because we're slowly overcoming Darwinistic concepts because we think that is actually science, but it's a story. It's just like the Bible and Adam and Eve, it's another story that we projected backwards because we live in a world of thinking, in a philosophy where we need to believe that everything is linear and ascending, right? Ascending means going upwards. So humans were stupid, and now we're the most intelligent ever, right? We're the best ever. But we've ways to go in understanding and perceiving how the world works. So celebrations are part of human expression, of being human. So therefore, it is very important that we don't say, well, I just want to eat carrots and celery sticks and be healthy. I don't participate, I shun my relatives who eat all this junk. No, I say, turn that around, make incredibly beautiful, delicious dishes. And, when you look at the kind of stuff that I make, the visual impact is just as important as is the taste impact. So creating dishes that are beautiful and great tasting and bringing them to an event and having everybody share in your healthy dishes makes you the heart of the party, right? Makes you the celebrity. And you can always say, well, I eat crazy. Sorry, guys. I just want to have fun with my life. And this is the way I can be happiest and healthiest, period. You don't have to preach. You don't have to do anything. But if you bring a dish that everybody thinks, oh my God, that's so pretty. Oh, that is so delicious, Johanna. Then you got an entry into changing the way people perceive you and perceive the healthier way of eating as not being restrictive, but as being indulging, ecstatic. Dr. Zach Bush talks about that's when you realize that life can be orgasmically ecstatic in all its sensual experiences. And yes, we're going through crazy times where we notice, and I'm approaching it from that angle intentionally, we notice suddenly or more and more that we are being manipulated into belief systems and into behaviors that we may not really like. We're forced to be medicated, locked up, do things that we may not consider the right thing to do. However, when you look back in history, what is a new phenomenon is not that we're being manipulated. What is a new phenomenon is that we notice. And that is the coolest thing. We're freaking finally noticing that throughout the period of empires, and who knows how long before, thousands of years, empires, the empirical structures really started about 6,000-7,000 years ago in a bigger way. And we're planet-wide. It's an interesting analysis when you look at what kind of systems happened throughout the world. Then, of course, in any empire has to manipulate its populace, has to manage its populace, has to keep its populace down. So much so that, this whole delusion that people have, oh, but people had their own little farm and their own backyard and they ate their own stuff. That stuff wasn't owned by them either. It belonged to the king. And the king could decide anytime, okay, everybody bring me your bread or your animals or your fruits, because I am sending whatever, thousands of soldiers into a war or whatever the goal was, right? Or I am trading all the stuff that you produced, shipping it from China to Rome and the silk trades, etc., because that's what we're doing. We want to get whatever they have in exchange. So I'm going to close on that realization that the collaboration of commerce and governance in empire states is as old as empires. So when we today complain that corporations run the world, there is nothing new about that. And the collaboration between royalty and old money and inheritance of money and new money that had become super rich and joined those circles. We can just look at the example of 1910 when the Rockefellers and 4 or 5 other families sat together. They owned combined, they owned 51% or more of the entire oil discoveries at the time. And they decided right there and then that we're going to make everything out of oil. And since food didn't work, medicine was definitely going to work. That's how we have our medical system. And everything else was going to be considered hoaxes. And that goes back to 1910. So let's not have any illusions about this is a new phenomenon with the medical industrial complex. That was created at that time. And of course, it has built and it has had more and more grasp. But what's really new is that we're becoming aware. It's phenomenal. It's beautiful. So all of you, if you want to learn, you can create your own life. In another show of mine on Twitch, I was talking about, do you own your body? Do we own our own body? Have we ever owned our body? You know, of course, there's the Whitney Webb's books just came out, Nation Under Blackmail, about the whole Epstein story and how that leads back to global powers using child trafficking and child sexual abuse for blackmail in politics, etc. That too is thousands of years old, but not even as a crime, but as a habit. Habitually, women and children were owned by their fathers or husbands. And if a husband died, the wife was going back either to a brother or back to the father in terms of ownership. We are owned. Kids, all children were owned. They could be sexually abused. It's even in old Bibles that fathers have the right to the virginity of their daughters or to the sexual abuse of their boys as well. A colleague of mine, when I studied Waldorf education, did her thesis on that topic. So she really went into all these old Bibles and found that the text is actually in there. You can do this to your children until they are of a certain age, at which time they're considered adults, which at the time was like 13, 14, and can be sold into marriage or into or given away. Or into slavery for that matter. So let us not think that going back to any romanticized period is useful, but realizing that with this awakening, with the realization that we have the power to understand and to say, I am a human being full of self-healing capacity. Now let's teach each other how that works and how we can make it work in this particular world, because of course we also cannot change this world. We cannot change that we are at the state we're in, that the global situation is what it is. But we can change how we react to it, with it, how we interact with each other, and how we create our own well-being so that we can hook up with others who are also on that path of self-healing. And again, I'm going to now put I'm going to give you 5 minutes to maybe write down your questions so that we can go at them one after another. And I'm going to write in the text the various ways you can find more information. Twitch TV. I am on there Monday through Thursday, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern time. And and it's free, unless you want to become a paying member, which is $5 a month or something like that. Awesome live show. No. What am I doing? Awesome live show. Oh. And then there is, the app is Awesome Life Courses. .passion.io, awesomelifecourses.passion.io. I'm so bad at making typos, so. And then, of course, there is a super special offer. Yeah, I just wanted to talk quickly about the 6 things that belong to a healthy new lifestyle. And I'm going to share screen for a minute here. And they apply as to, what you need to think about or do in your life to really create that full lifestyle where you feel validated. And we should also talk about monetizing, because in this world, we do need money to pay our rent, our mortgage, our car payment, our food, etc. So monetizing your particular skills and your abilities is also very important. And there are certain ways that some of us have learned as to how to do that. And I'm happy to share screen. I'm slow. Wait, I need this. Why is this not going over here? Do I need to take it back over here? Okay, can you see Johanna's Raw Foods and Coaching? The 6-step Evolve system?
You had it before, I think. Now you have awesome chocolates now showing.
Oh, you're seeing, oh, I see. So you do see that screen.
Yeah, you had the
Awesome
other one
Chocolates
before.
is the free ebook that you can download on my website when you go to
Now you
free
have the coaching.
recipes. So that's another thing. That's at Johanna's Raw Foods /
Now you have the coaching
free.
showing.
Free something, but you can see it on the menu. So yeah, so just changing the food habit does not quite cut it off. Of course, it's a really great start, but in the very beginning, I'm always asking people who want to work with me or who come to events, ask yourself, why do I want to live? And people are like, what do you mean? Why do I want? Obviously, I want to live. But why? Ask yourself, why? What do you want to do with this lifetime? What's your contribution? What's your joyful? And of course, there's this thing going around on the interwebs, on social media, well, what do you want to do with your life? Well, I want to be happy. And, there are these answers that just drive home that living for pleasure and happiness is good enough, is a wonderful thing. And I say that is true because true happiness comes from your contribution being validated. So that is the first question. Clarify or explore and clarify what you really want. That's the why question. next is verify the science and experience that it works. And that is somewhat, what I just told you about how biology works on planet Earth. So we can say verify the science is realizing that, oh, that's how it works. But you can also realize it once you've done like a 7-day smoothie cleanse or a high cruciferous cleanse, or and you're doing the high cruciferous, right?
Yes, it's great.
And there's just another level of that high green content that empowers you in so many ways. So that's another way to verify that it works, that you experience how wonderful it works.
Sure does.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing. And then there is, of course, a lot of baggage that all of us have. So that's overcoming obstacles, as in patterns that we've inherited from our upbringing, from our parents, from our genetic makeup, etc., are very, very hard to override. You can only override them for so long. They will always pop back up when you're in a crisis situation, right? So overcome is not really the right word. My mission is to say, hi, Dinah. My mission is to say, transform your trauma into tools. Because everything you have ever experienced on planet Earth can be used for better understanding of how the world works, for better understanding others who are suffering, for being reminded of how not to be when you want to start a new life. So turn your traumas into tools is a very, very important step. And then we come to loving our bodies. I mean, many people have said, you got to love yourself, you got to love your body. But I really mean literally stand in front of the mirror and say to yourself, I love my body. Now, that also empowers you to say, I'm going to shape it as I want. So that's when, your exercise program, your meditation, your breathing, I do the Wim Hof method, love it. And lots of other modalities, but especially exercise, will help you shape that body the way you want it. But you can't do that when you don't love it. You have to love it. You have to empower it to say, I know that you're in there, you super body that I have and want. And then you got to work at it. It's not going to happen by itself. So love your body. Then we have a step at which we feel, okay, now I am perfectly fine. And all these other morons out there, it's just their fault that they're just not getting it. That's not a healthy or happy way to be either. So once your own vitality is sufficiently established, your self-love is there, it is incumbent upon you to begin to share and mix. And that's again where celebrations become so important, that you bring yourself, your healthy self, your superfood, and share, not preaching, just sharing and hearing other people's stories why they're not there. Maybe carefully, when asked, suggest that they could try something. So that's the last part of the 6 steps, namely socializing yourself and re-socializing yourself, even with groups that are not there. You also need the groups that are supportive of the way your new lifestyle works, but you also want to be strong enough to mix wherever you are with regular folks. I'm laughing because just a couple of nights ago, a girlfriend invited me to this concert at this old church. And there were all these regular people. Oh, why am I having an echo suddenly? That's really weird. All right, so that's enough of this sharing. Let me stop sharing. All right, and that program I teach in my 12-month program. It's called the Super Happy Body Program, because healthy is not enough. It also needs to be happy, and it needs to provide happiness and understanding, which again is linked. If we don't understand diddly, I think, oh, somebody has their speaker on, so we get a feedback. We don't want to call ignorance bliss, is what I was going to say. Because
Derry has his speaker on. Unmute.
Yeah, I mean, is it annoying elsewhere? Is it gone now? It seems it's gone, right?
It's okay on our end.
Yeah. Yeah, Derry has his, but I don't hear any feedback anymore. If you do, let me know. So, in other words, ignorance is not bliss. In fact, unfortunately, in today's world, ignorance causes a lot of suffering because we blindly walk into the manipulation that I've been talking about, right? And it does not help. I'm really annoyed with the fact that I don't have any light. So I feel like I should light up my face, and I have all these devices, and for some reason I didn't set this up right. Okay, now we get to the Q&A part, and I'd really love to get your questions. You can just unmute yourself. We're not that many.
This is really nice, Johanna. I have to leave now, but thank you so much.
Cool. You're so
Thank you.
welcome.
This
Keep
was
it up with the
wonderful.
cruciferous. So if you want to share, what has it changed for you to go cruciferous? Or high cruciferous, I should say.
Yes. Just a little more, I think just feeling more, I feel stronger. And where I was feeling a lot weaker before, a lot more energy, a little more clarity in my thinking. It's been I feel like things I've been trying to heal is getting better, various parts of my body. So it's kind of like it's like holistic all over, beneficial for me. And
Yeah.
I do it all day. I do grains and root vegetables and things like that. It's really great.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. So
Thank you.
sometimes, even though we already think we are on a very healthy diet, when we have crises, and we all do, by the way, I have crises as well, because there are other stresses that impact on our health. There's electromagnetic fields, there's toxicity in the air, there's, of course, we're all driving cars through traffic, et cetera, et cetera. So there's lots of other things, and there's stress. Stress produces a lot of toxicity in our body in and of itself. All right. Anybody else?
Yes. So one of my doula clients, I'm thinking about her specifically. Do you have a specific cleansing protocol for nursing mothers? One of my clients is removing all the toxins, including mold, from her environment. She also wants to do a cleanse to combat skin cancer. As she's nursing an infant, she needs to find a protocol that won't release too many toxins in her breast milk.
Yeah, I don't think when you switch to a raw, high green diet, and when you're nursing, obviously you need more fats than other people need. So
Yeah.
include sunflower seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. Those are all omega-3 dense fatty acid providing foods, including those with high green, both savory and sweet, meaning fruit and greens mixes. You can flush out toxins. And I've maintained that smoothies in this case are better than juices, because smoothies include the fiber, and that cleanses the intestinal tract gently. It's not a sudden shock, a sudden switch to something very different. Like juicing can infuse a lot of nutrients directly into the bloodstream, but it doesn't give the full effect of what a plant includes. And that's always large amounts of fiber, which I think are necessary. And I think in breastfeeding mothers, there needs to be enough fat, and it should not be animal fat of any kind. A little story quickly to that. When I worked at the international law firm, a colleague of mine, a young lawyer, had a baby, and the baby had she looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. The baby had terrible stomach colics. Colics are, by definition, of course, stomach cramps. And she said to me, "Do you have any? Can I do anything?" And yes, I'm going to go get my light too, as you just did. And I said, "Try to go leave out all dairy and all animal products just for 2 weeks." And she said, "Okay, I need to ask my doctor about that." And so I said, "Okay, ask your doctor. I'll give you some recipes, etc., to make sure that there's enough raw in there as well." And her doctor was wise enough to say, "Well, since we haven't figured out what to do with your cramping baby, why don't you try it?" And she came back less than 2 weeks later and said, "Johanna, I have a new baby. You would not recognize him." And at first I thought, "Oh, is she pregnant again? What's up?" She said, "No, my child sleeps. My child laughs. My child has not had a single cramp." And then, of course, I told her that I had found studies in Scandinavia where colicky babies had been tested, had been taken off dairy, again, for a short period of time, and 80% of all colics, even the most severe, went away. Now, of course, there are some situations where there is physical impairment of the intestinal tract so that there is difficulty in digestion.
Okay, so just a moment. So now we're talking about babies drinking or eating dairy products directly?
No,
or
the
just
mothers,
from
mama,
nursing?
mama. We're
The
talking.
mother's diet. Okay.
Yes, in
Yeah.
this case,
Because like you said, I wanted to say earlier, when you are eating the foods that are not made for you, breast milk is the species specific food.
absolutely, it is
So
exactly what the baby needs.
yeah.
But if the mother ingests stuff that the baby doesn't need, of course, it goes directly into the breast milk. That's why after
Some of it, yeah.
after the Chernobyl accident with the nuclear plant imploding there and all the toxicity, all of Europe was prohibited to breastfeed because
They were afraid.
nuclear fallout concentrates in the breasts. And I'm going to go get my light.
Okay.
I can hear everybody.
Yes. So in the meantime, I want to thank you for confirming what I intuitively already thought, that it would be great for her to just do smoothies and get the fats going. It's really important that she gets all the right fats, like you mentioned, the flax,
Yes.
the chia. What else did you mention? Walnuts.
No animal products.
Sunflower seeds. Right.
Yes.
So pumpkin seed is another good one, I think.
Yes. I don't know why, but I've never used my pumpkin seeds, but I actually like them in products.
Yeah, you can get them
Yes.
organic.
May there be
So-
light.
Hello. There you are.
Hello. I am here.
Yes. So, and then super greens, of course. And what do you think of seaweed?
Seaweed is very, very good. I just personally have never
Yeah.
developed much of a taste for the seaweed salad and that stuff that, became so popular. So I try to put some kelp into my smoothies sometimes and into my burgers and other things. So no, it's very, very good. Make sure that it comes from get your seaweed in a health food store because it's less likely to be glyphosate and other exposures. Of course, unfortunately, 85% of all our waters on the entire planet is contaminated. 85% of all our waters, oceans, rivers, lakes, everything, rainwater. So we got a lot of work to do to clean up the mess, because it's not really about the climate change from cars. It's about the toxicity put out there with the glyphosates and the fertilizers and the herbicides and the Teflons and the plastics, etc., throughout the planet for the last 100 years. So
Right. I want to mention that, there are studies that have been done that shows that the Japanese seaweed, after the exposure to the tsunami and then the nuclear waste from the nuclear power plants, those seaweeds from Japan are the most effective in the removal of radiation, nuclear radiation, amazingly. And not amazingly, because Earth is self-cleansing, as are all the bodies that it's a biology. It's a
yes,
um,
it's ironic because, of course, plant life adapts amazingly.
we're really self-cleansing. Like, the worst thing we can do is, especially on our intimate body parts, use soap. It's the worst thing we can do, actually.
Yes,
In
and
terms
I
of
mean, there's
self-cleansing.
so much more to that.
Just water. Just, make sure you have clean water and use that.
Yes, there's so much more to, of course, the industrialization, we today, and I did not talk about that, but it's on my agenda. We have, in addition to what we produce, we ourselves have become the product for corporate interests. We are the product by way of having us consume constantly, and of course by way of grafting our data and using that to make us more of a product, to make us more dependent, to make us, and then of course transhumanism and all those concepts. So, but with the beginning of awareness, please, everybody connect. Let us work together. Let's see where things fit. Regina is here and Nell is here from the RossumLifeGlobal.com online university. We are not funded yet to really launch, but we're working on that. And the more people become aware, the better chance we have to get launched. Also, again, for you, Lori, you were asking about, going onto other platforms. It is important that we create awareness wherever people have not been reached yet, but are possibly able to awaken. It's very, very hard for people to realize, oops, I made a mistake. But if we tell the story as it actually is, humanity has always fallen for all these ruses, for all these stories, for these narratives that, we're only plundering the rest of the world in colonialism because we're civilizing the savages, right? Those were the narratives told at home.
That's right, and the use of mercury. Even my husband, he grew up in Morocco, and they were still using, besides iodide, they were using some form of mercury for wound care.
Yes, because it was used as an antibiotic. It was used as a medicine.
Very, very toxic.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, antibiotic is in and of itself, of course, the definition of anti-life. It kills.
Yes.
So all antibiotics are killers of life. So it's not really, I used to call cayenne pepper, ginger, raw honey, and garlic, and other such remedies, ginseng. I used to call them natural antibiotics, but they're actually not antibiotics. They do not kill life. They rebalance.
Yeah.
They actually rebalance and help cleanse out the toxins. So I revise myself sometimes in those areas that that we have to really look at very closely. Yeah. So, all right, everybody, Dinah, Linda Rouser, Monique, Arlen, Andrea, Christine, Ed, who else? Dev, Shirley, Valerie, Susan Boyce, Regina, and Lori. Come on, bring it.
Regina has a question. I can read it unless you want to say it yourself, Regina.
Did I miss it?
It says, thank you so much. Are your recipes also for people with diabetes?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for asking. Absolutely. Now, diabetes, I say all chronic diseases can be healed in weeks or days sometimes, while it took decades for the body to accumulate so much toxicity to present as that chronic disease. Putting somebody on a raw food diet, there's a wonderful movie that's still around called 30 Days on Raw. Dr. My dear friend, sometimes Gabriel Cousins is at the center of it. And, there's 6 people coming from all walks of life, severely diabetic. And within 10 days, even the most severe one is off all medication, off all ailments, and then they just learn how to live a healthier life. So all organic raw foods automatically take you off of diabetes. Now, if you want to include some cooked foods, that can be done. It just takes a little longer. Dr. Esselstyn, for example, with whole food plant-based, does it in 3 months. I'm just saying, wise people, hello. Dr. Gabriel Cousins. That movie is still on YouTube. You can find it free. Simply Raw, Reversing Diabetes in 30 Days. Why not go raw when you can do it that much faster? You can then add in some cooked food, but at least you have that experience how it works, or experience that it works. Because once you have done even just a 5-day smoothie cleanse, you have experienced the power of raw healing. And of course, while some of my colleagues like Dr. Brooke Goldner will say, just get started. I don't care if it's not organic. Just get started with the green smoothies. Of course, you're still putting a lot of toxins back into your body when the plants are not organically grown. And because the packaging is another step at which vegetables can get very contaminated, even if they're GMO free or non-GMO. Same cure. Your daughter has thyroid nodules. As long as you still have a piece of thyroid, even if some of it has been cut out, the thyroid will regenerate. And I learned this a couple of decades ago at a workshop I was actually providing food there too, so I was working, but it was presented that the thyroid regrows and finds its full function, because of course it's a very important hormone producer, when you go on raw food for even just a period of time. And again, you can probably do it with whole food, plant-based, low, no oil, that kind of thing that, again, Esselstyns do. But it's just so much faster and so much easier. And, I can help people with the delicious recipes that also make it an incredibly delicious experience. When healing becomes delicious, then we get away from this whole concept of, disease, and now I have to eat all these horrible medicines that taste horrible and whatever, I have other side effects and so forth.
Yeah,
And-
like it's a chore suddenly.
right,
You know,
exactly. Like it's a chore, like it's a punishment, you know, to heal from something. When you make the healing process itself into a celebration, what's there to complain about, right?
well, you can have your body celebrate as well. I found that to be true when I first tasted your raw food back in Oneonta when you used to live there, and you introduced your raw foods at the health food store.
10 years
Um,
ago.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so the first time I tasted Johanna's food, I literally just went, I never had a blood transfusion, but I bet it would feel like this, you know?
I don't know whether a blood transfusion would feel
Well,
good.
not these days, you know, from a healthy person perhaps, but I
I feel
felt
you.
really like literally just all of my bodily fluids came back to life. That's really what it felt like.
Yeah. And that's why step 2 in the 6-step program that I teach is verify that it works. Verify the science and verify that it works. Experience that it works. You can't replace that with all the stories that I can tell you. You can't replace that experience of, oh my God, I haven't had a headache in 3 days. That has never happened in years. Oh my God, I actually slept and didn't have to go to the bathroom. My doctor told me that my liver failure was fatal and, you know, I have so many months to live. I've had it in my own experience with my clients. So there's just nothing like allowing a person to have that experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I went raw, you know, I've gone raw a few times, you know, off and on in different times. I know the last time I did it, it was such an incredible electrical feeling of connection with my brain and a mental experience of life and the desire for life and the quest. It was an amazing thing. The enzymes, the energy, the you know, it's got to be something electrical that connects, you know, with
Thank you
our body.
thank you for taking us there, Lori. So true. You know, when I always say the more you know how little you know, that is an area of understanding that we haven't even touched on. That is the fact that life is energy. Everything we experience and have and do is energy. And how does everything we put into our body change the entire energetic interaction of everything? So energy medicine and understanding what is energy is definitely one of the next level of research and understanding. However, since corporate entities have not figured out how to make money on that, it's just not favored right now. I mean, Einstein came to the conclusion everything is energy, and many before him. But yeah, since we are product driven, and let me just quickly talk about, and of course we live in a product driven world. That's why we also, and those of you who are interested in learning how to monetize your particular skill in helping others get well, or helping others become coaches, or helping others be moving humanity forward, again, connect with me to learn some of the modalities that how we can use the existing technologies, even because, I mean, we're talking to each other because of technology, right? So using what is to the benefit of better understanding, better health, better self-healing, planet healing, etc., can be very rewarding. And of course, is really where it's at. So if we all want to move humanity forward, we can learn those modalities of how to monetize so that we can, again, function in this world. Because as much as we might want to homestead somewhere on a piece of land, we still have to pay taxes to somebody. So because every little piece of the planet in today's reality is owned. Every
And you can-
little
you-
piece.
You
Yeah.
can eat more when you go raw. You can actually eat more food and not worry.
Oh, definitely. Well, the thing is, I mean, some people, especially fruitarians, eat a lot of fruit, right? A lot of it. I find that my portions are rather small because I'm so full, because it's such nutrient dense stuff. Like, what do I have here? I have here a pesto and a hazelnut lentil burger, sprouted lentils and hazelnuts, and a couple of baby tomatoes. This little thing here is a meal, you know, and then of course I have this, and that will be,
How much cocoa is in that mousse? I mean, that's like from the cacao powder. That's a lot of cacao there, isn't it?
that's cacao, yeah.
You're not going to sleep tonight if you eat all that.
Oh, to me and many of my colleagues, raw cacao does not have the effect of coffee, which, you know, some people, of course, it does have a caffeine related compound in it, theobromine, which revitalizes the body and provides a lot of magnesium, potassium, calcium, iron, and manganese. So if you don't have a need for those things, which I seem to always have, I always have a need for those things. So I'm good with a lot of cacao. I can go right to sleep after eating cacao, but I do have friends who cannot. Like my colleague and dear friend, Karen Ramsey, Feel Fabulous with Foods, will, she will not eat anything with chocolate after lunch because she says, I can't sleep. So I've never had that experience, which means my body obviously does well, but I work out hard, or I run, or I just now, like I said, before this mastermind, I just ran up the hill near me. It's not very much, it's just 2 miles, but still, you know, so I'm in motion and I challenge my muscle tissue, which is naturally not very good. I was born with really poor tissue and a hole in my heart and all sorts of other issues. So I need a lot of workout, and I can handle a lot of raw cacao and stuff, that other products that give me particularly potassium and magnesium, which I seem to need a lot. For example, I make root mushes with celeriac, celery root, and what's the other one? The sweet one. Help me out here.
Turmeric?
No, turmeric is very spicy.
I just bought some raw turmeric. I ate a whole thing. It was good. I just ate it raw.
It was not spicy? Interesting.
Turmeric? No, I mean, it had a little bite to it, but it was, I ate it.
Okay, cool.
Parsnip.
Parsnip, yes, Arlen, that was parsnip, absolutely. So celeriac and parsnip, and you know, you can throw beets in there or beet greens in there. So I make these thick mushes with nuts, either walnuts or cashew nuts, or some cauliflower thrown in. So they're like mashed potatoes, but it's just those root vegetables with a little bit of fruit, like half an orange goes in there, and then spices. But that is like real potassium dense food. And I seem to need a lot of that too, especially after hard workouts, when those muscles need to, like, okay, now we can relax, you know, just keep growing or keep maintaining. So yeah, it's definitely different for different people, but I don't know. I've never had an issue with raw cacao. And again, tell me if anybody else here has an issue with raw cacao keeping you awake.
You know, I just eat it earlier in the day, in the afternoon. You know, I don't really eat it before I go to bed as a rule. So
Yeah,
seems to be
which is,
okay.
which is fine. Now, of course, this has a lot of other stuff in it. Just to give you a quick rundown, this has fresh pears, banana, so pear, banana, frozen strawberries, frozen raspberries, raisins, dates, apricots, very iron rich, again, apricots in particular. Then almonds, I used almonds this time instead of often walnuts and cashews. Almonds, a little bit of coconut, virgin coconut oil, just to give it that smoothness, a little bit of cacao butter, and then a few drops of vanilla essence, a couple of grains of Celtic sea salt, and the raw cacao. So it's a lot of stuff, you know, so the cacao is just one of the 10 ingredients that are in here. But of course, the cacao creates the flavor the most. You can still taste, if you have a fine taste buds, you can still taste the banana in there and all the other good stuff. So, but I'm pointing that out. Of course, you know, for some people, like I have a client who has just gone away from all sweet fruits and things, and is finding that it helps her a lot to not ever have migraines, but it's mostly psychological in her case. So we work on, actually, she doesn't have migraines anymore, but she used to have, and she's still afraid that she'll get them. So it's different for everybody, and people who have found that eating non-sweet in the majority, you know, maybe doing very well too. Now, I maintain that, of course, the brain needs glucose and fat. And again, cell reproduction needs essential fatty acids because the cell membrane is made of essential fatty acids. So that is a necessary ingredient that if we deprive ourselves, we may just go a little duller in the brain. I don't know whether that's true, but you know, I'm just projecting here. So good fats and good sugars are actually energy providers and brain enhancers. That's why, you know, people like Dr. Doc Graham, who is fruitarian for the most part, he eats a little bit of greens, but he works out 4 hours a day and he trains athletes. So, you know, he burns, of course, all that sugar. So for me, that wouldn't be a good idea because I don't work out that much. I don't burn that much sugar. But I also don't want to go the other way where there is no sweet fruit stuff, because I feel I need that push, that energy push. All right. So is anybody interested, anybody who's new here, whom I don't know? Barbara Sandoval, Dinah Anthony, Monique LaRoche, Arlen Baden. Who else do I not know? Ed, don't know you very well. And Dev and Valerie Frankie and Susan Boyce. We've talked before, I have the feeling. Is anybody wanting to take advantage of this super offer that is currently back up? It still says Black Friday offer, but I just said, okay, let's put that back up for these shows so that you can take advantage when my 12-month program instead of $8,000 is available for $3,000 or $297 a month. So that's incredible. But if anybody wants to take advantage of that, please email me or put it in the chat.
How much is the cruciferous? What is it? A smoothie? I don't know. I'm not on the
cruciferous
website,
smoothie
so I can't see it.
cleanse, yeah, is the person who does it most, even though I've always done it, but not to the extreme, and I've tried it now to the more extreme, is Dr. Brooke Goldner.
Oh,
And she started it to heal people from lupus. She cured herself from lupus, or rather her husband had that idea, and then they developed this whole program. And now all autoimmune
Oh.
diseases and arthritis, etc. You can, again, but it's the same thing. You go raw, and high cruciferous speeds up that energy provider and cleansing element. And in her research, it turned out to be the most nutrient dense food you can put into your body, and that's cruciferous green vegetables. And there's a whole bunch of them combined with, she combines it with a little bit of fruit. I also combine it as I call it gazpacho smoothie, with garlic and ginger and spices and cucumber in it and so forth. So it becomes this like very, very delicious, better than salad in a soup kind of thing. So yeah, you can, cruciferous is definitely yet another
I
level
wonder
up.
I wonder if I made this. Okay.
Yeah,
And
I
you
mean,
said that video for the healing diabetes was what?
simply raw. I think you
Mhm.
may have seen it, Christine.
Maybe.
Simply raw. Reversing
Okay.
diabetes in 30 days.
Oh.
Reversing diabetes in 30 days. Yeah.
Oh.
All right, my dear people.
I've also heard that there's something in napalm cactus that's really good for diabetics.
Napalm? I only know napalm as that terrible tarry burning stuff that they poured on people in Vietnam.
No, sweetheart. The Spanish, it's a cactus, the green with the little thorns on it. It's
Okay, can you
round.
pronounce it Spanish?
Napalm, N-A,
Nopal.
napalm.
No,
Yeah.
it's not napalm. It's
It's
what, the cactus leaf? Are you talking about the cactus leaf?
Mm-hmm.
It's nopales. Nopales.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
nopal.
you.
Mhm.
Nopales. Yes.
Yeah,
I
nopales
had
would be
them. They're
plural.
delicious.
So, what is good about nopal?
Well, I've heard, that it has properties in it to balance your blood sugar to help people with diabetic.
Right.
I mean,
Now, I Lori,
know a lot of things about different things, but I don't want to share them all because it's not my show here. But diabetes can be healed.
oh, but Lori, the crucial part is always you can add something like a good element, like a good supposedly medicinal plant, but it will not override your steak or your hot dog. And or even if you do the healing modality for 2 weeks and go back to the old ways of eating, it cannot last. You will get sick again. So you have to change the lifestyle of a person for them to remain healthy, especially diabetics. You cannot possibly fix it with medicine while not changing your lifestyle. Make sense? So therefore, it is absolutely crucial that's why I went through all this biology on planet Earth thing, etc. Because if you don't understand the basic functioning of the human body and the health self-healing modality, you can take all the remedies, supplements, and medicines in the world. It will not override your steak or your egg, for that matter. Because your body will just collapse back into the disease. So change your lifestyle. And of course, you can do that by yourself. It just requires quite a lot of discipline and research to make that work for you so that you can have a happy life and not feel deprived. And also not just say, but I'm taking my multivitamin pills. That's when I was in my teenage years, you know, multivitamin pills were like the thing. Everybody thought, okay, pop a cup of vitamin. I took 3 multivitamins this morning. I'm good, you know, and then here you go and eat your bacon and eggs, yeah, bacon and eggs. And yeah, so we're gonna say goodbye. And thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for checking out what I've proposed you check out. I look forward to seeing you all in different contexts or on other. Hi, Christine. Cool. Great to see you. I look forward to seeing y'all wherever next we cross paths or in the next mastermind. I hope you got something out of it that you can implement in your life. And I hope that I see you on my free content on the twitch.tv/Rossum Life Show. Lots of different topics, all relating to humanity on planet Earth are discussed there. The show has 3 parts: fitness, food, humanity. So we actually do fitness. If you need a program to follow, you know, I do my fitness live on the channel. All right. Mwah. Everybody, last words. Ciao. Love and light. Yes. Thank
Ciao.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shirley. Yeah, who's speaking?
Everybody is just chiming in to say thank you, Joanna.
Thank you. That is so lovely. Thank you for being here. And until next time, Lori, and if you want some more talk about how to gently convert your husband, talk to me. Happy
Okay.
to help.
Thank you.
All right, Andrea, thank you. Thank you. You're welcome, Andrea. And
Bye, everyone.
bye.
Bye. Bis
Cool.
bald.
Bye. It's time to go to
Melden
bed
dich.
in Germany.
It's true. 10:30.
Sweet
Okay.
dreams.
Bye. Tschüss.
Bye.
Dankeschön.
Tschüss. Bye, Shirley. Bye, Susan.